Good day. My name is Ridlane Oscar, and my team member's name is Samaya Rule. I will be presenting our mini action research project for EDUC 328. This project explored how arts integration, specifically dance, music, and drama, could be used to support early childhood students' learning of the letter D, which is the topic that we decided to go with. As a student teacher, this project allowed me to understand how research can directly improve classroom instruction by helping me measure what works, how students respond, how learning outcomes can be improved through evidence based strategies. And the purpose of this mini action project was to determine how arts integration affects student engagement and letter sound recognition. The guiding research questions that we decided to go with was how does integrating dance, music, and drama into a language lesson on the letter D impact student engagement and letter sound recognition among early childhood learners? So, for the overview of this project, this mini action research project explored the impact of arts integration in early childhood literacy instruction. Three performing arts elements that were incorporated were dance, music, and drama, and into the grade kindergarten language lesson focus on learning the letter D and the letter D sound. The project aimed to examine how these arts based strategies influence students' engagement, phonemic awareness, and oral language development. Our project objectives were to increase student engagement during literacy lesson through movement and creative expression, improve students' recognition and production of the D sound, enhance vocabulary development and oral language confidence using drama based learning, evaluate the effectiveness of arts integration as an instructional strategy in early childhood education. Our three sub research questions were: how does dance influence student engagement during the lesson? How does music support development of the D sound? And how does drama assist in oral language development and vocabulary use? Scope of the report. This report presents findings from a small scale classroom action research study conducted over three instructional sessions. The report includes a description of the participants in classroom setting, an explanation of the arts integrated lesson activities, analysis of data collected from observation checklists, student surveys, student interviews, pre and post assessments, student work samples, teacher reflection notes, interpretation of both quantitative data and qualitative data, discussion of overall findings, challenges, conclusions, and implications for teaching in the Bahamas. Scope. Okay, so our data collection. Data were collected during the implementation of three performing arts lessons: dance activity, D is for dance, music activity, the letter D sound song, and drama activity, D word mini role plays. The following tools were used: an observation checklist, engagement during activities, participation and cooperation, accuracy in identifying and producing the D sound. Student surveys, simple 4 point Likert scale surveys assessing enjoyment and perceived learning, pre and post assessments, 5 item phonics assessments measuring letter recognition, letter sound production, D word identification, and vocabulary recall, student interviews. Two students participated in short, open ended interviews sharing their learning experiences, and student work samples, drawing, labeling activities, and writing and oral response tasks. And also with teacher reflection notes, recorded behavioral patterns, focus levels, excitements, collaboration, and confidence during each lesson. So for the activities, This is what we did during the lesson for the activity. For the music part, students learned a short song about the letter D, clapped whenever they heard D. So with this, I did it to the tune of If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands. And I switched the words around if the letter D for the letter D, and whenever they heard the letter D, then they would clap their hand. I showed them a picture of objects, items beginning with the letter D, and they would clap. And I also showed them other words that didn't begin with the letter D, and they would not clap for those words. So they also use rhythm instruments, which increase excitement and focus. This helped reinforce the D sound through repetition and melody, which they really enjoyed this part of the lesson. And also for the drama activity, students acted out roles like doctor, driver, and dancer. They used simple dialogue containing D words, which supported language development. Drama allowed them to express meaning and practice vocabulary and context. So I gave them a word and I told them to say the word out loud. This was done individually, and they would have to produce the word in a sentence, in a simple sentence, and then they would act out the word. So, for example, if I told them doctor, they would say doctor. They would give me doctor in a sentence, and they would also role play exactly what a doctor does. And students also enjoyed that part of the lesson. Now, for the dance activity, students were given words like stomp, and they were to stomp like a dinosaur. They were to dive like a dolphin, and they also enjoyed that part of the activity. Data analysis. Data analysis. Data were analyzed using a mixed methods approach. Quantitative data from pre assessments, post assessments, and surveys were collected into percentages to determine changes in learning outcomes and levels of enjoyment. Qualitative data from interviews, observations, and reflection notes were coded into themes such as engagement and participation, oral language development, phonemic awareness, and confidence and creativity. Data from multiple sources were compared to identify patterns and confirm results through triangulation, strengthening, and validity of conclusion. And for our data analysis, we also, for the pre assessment and post assessment, students completed a simple skills assessment before and after lessons. This measured letter recognition, sound production, and vocabulary knowledge. The student surveys for each activity, each student completed a 10 question smiley face survey after dance, music, and drama. These surveys help measure enjoyment and perceived learning. So we did observation checklists, such as during the lesson, I observed participation, on task behavior, hand raises, correct responses, and also engagement using a 1 to 5 scale. So for the student interviews, two students were interviewed to learn more about which activities helped them most and why. These combined data sources allowed for rich, accurate analysis through triangulation. So the summary of engagement across all activities, student engagement was very high. For the dance engagement, I'd say 4.7 out of 5. Music engagement, 4.9 out of 5. And drama engagement, 4.5 out of 5. Because you still had a few students that would engage, but not fully. Students were excited, energetic, and fully involved. Music, I would say, produced the strongest participation, while drama encouraged expressive language. So, for the pre and post assessment results, so for the pre test for identifying the letter D, about 60%, post test, 95%, producing the D sound, pre test, 55%, post test, 92%, identifying D words, pre test, 50%, post test, 90%, naming D words, pre test, 40%, post test, 90%. So students clearly gain confidence and accuracy after the arts integration lesson. The strongest growth was in vocabulary development and sound production, especially during music and drama activities. So, for the summary of survey data, the students' survey also reflected strong positive responses. 96% enjoyed the lesson, 92 felt the activity helped them learn the letter D, and 100% wanted to learn letters this way again. Children especially like the clapping to the music, stomping to the words, like when we did stomp like a dinosaur, and acting out the D word characters. And there were key themes from that emerge from the qualitative findings: high engagement, improved letter sound recognition, vocabulary and context, and positive attitudes.
Okay, so overall, the integration of dance, music, and drama significantly improved students' engagement and their phonemic awareness. Students were highly motivated and they participated and demonstrated measured growth in producing and identifying the D sound. So, music activities results in the strongest sound recognition due to rhythm and repetition, and dance activities increase focus and physical involvement, supporting kinesthetic learning styles, and drama activities improve vocabulary use and oral communication skills. Also, while boosting confidence, we also had some challenges encountered, such as excitement, time constraint, and basic support not quieter students. And despite these challenges, classroom management strategy and clear routines help maintain a positive learning environment. Okay, so some key findings from the project including how art integration increased students' enjoyment of literacy learning, and phonemic awareness improves substantially with post-assessment scores rising basically from an average of 40 to 60% to over 90% accuracy, and you can see that students' confidence in oral expression increased, particularly during drama activities, and students demonstrated greater retention of D words compared to traditional instruction methods. So the lesson learned basically is children learn best when movement, creativity, and expression are part of academic instruction. And I've witnessed this because, especially in grade one, they need some sort of movement. Like you cannot just sit and teach at the board all day. Like they need to be moving. And when I did my dance activity with them, I could see everyone was all smiling because they was interested. It was something that they enjoyed doing, and I saw when they did the worksheet, it was really good. Okay, so overall report, summary, and conclusion. So this action research project demonstrated that using performing arts strategies in early childhood literacy lessons is an effective method for supporting phonemic awareness and student engagement. Because in early childhood, students need the art strategies, they need the movements in order to learn. And I feel so the combination of dance, music, and drama created a multi-sensory learning environment that met diverse learning needs and reinforced the letter D sound through repetition, movement, and storytelling. And this can also be used for other letters of the alphabet. It can also be used for other topics too. And the findings confirm that art integration not only strengthens academic skills but also nurtures creativity, communication, and enthusiasm for learning. Okay, implications for the human education system. So, art integration aligns with the human cultural practice of storytelling, music, movement, and oral tradition. Therefore, incorporating performing arts into literacy instruction can increase movement and achievement among early learners. Professional development for teachers should also include training on art based teaching strategies. And curriculum planners should integrate art education into early literacy standards. Okay, so recommendation for further research. So future research could examine how the long-term effects of music-based phonic instruction, comparative impacts of visual arts versus performing arts on literacy development, art integration strategies for children with learning disabilities or such as or speech delays, the use of art integration across multiple literacy skills such as blending, segmenting, sight word recognition, and larger studies involving multiple classroom and school districts. Okay, so these are my references. These were the references from the review of literature, which we have Anderson A. Art Integration and Early Literacy Development, Early Childhood Journal, Bernaford G. Brown, S. Doherty J. and McLaughlin H. J. Art Integration Framework, Research and Practice, and then we have D. Moss K. and Morris C. How Art Integration Supports Students' Learning. And from the worksheet that was used was from the Savas Learning Company. The phonics workbook level 1 was used, and the other worksheet was used was from Safari.